Welcome to the 12th Annual Governors Symposium titled 15 Years of Constitutional Autonomy, Achievements, Lessons, and Prospects. This status is not given. It is not something that happened to us. It is an act of self-determination. And as such, it was something we as a people had to work towards and for. And now, 15 years later, it is something that calls for us to continuously adjust and adapt to our circumstances for the benefit of the people of St. Martin. Although the achievements on our journey so far may be categorized as isolated and sporadic, acknowledgement of these achievements provide validation, drives motivation, and encourages us to take on future challenges. Not in the least of our achievements has been starting from a disadvantageous position and nevertheless succeeding in establishing, building, and maintaining certain institutions and departments from the ground up. One of which is our Constitutional Court, the only court of its kind within our kingdom, ensuring compliance of legislation with the Constitution. Noteworthy in this regard is also the Integrity Chamber. Notwithstanding the circumstances under which the chamber came into existence, they have been proving their added value by promoting and seeking to enhance integrity within government. While the achievements may have been few and far between, the lessons and areas for improvement have been in abundance. One area that stands out is the frequent changes in government, the instability with all its consequences, lack of policy continuity, lack of trust in institutions, lack of foreign investment, in short, lack of progress, all at the expense of the people. The focus needs to shift from politics and politicians to policies and people. Good luck. The speakers, video presenters, and panelists today will give insight from their respective fields and experience on how we can capitalize on the lessons learned, with the keynote, bringing it all together and sharing with us some nuggets of wisdom as prospects for the future. The overall objective of the annual Governors Symposium is the promotion of good governance. It is a platform for engagement on topics that are relevant to the time and issues pertinent to societal needs, and promotes and encourages discussion, presentations, and exchange of ideas that sensitize leaders of our society to develop initiatives directed at the further development and strengthening of programs and policies to improve St. Martin's resilience and sustainability, with the goal to further enhance the well-being of the people of St. Martin. Without further ado, I hereby declare the 2025 Governors Symposium open. I hope you have an enjoyable experience and that you leave here today inspired. I thank you.
I think the real question that we must ask ourselves today is not what the past 15 years have done to St. Martin, but rather how has our long and complex history shaped these past 15 years of autonomy. So I think it's a big difference in looking to this 15 years. Today we look not only at 15 years since 10, but I think to a time span of approximately only 170 years of turbulent, impactful development of our constitutional status. Actually, for me, it's only 4 generations for me to have an imagination about the time span that I'm talking about. It's only 170 years of struggle, determination, and resilience. For me, this story is of my great-grandfather that I didn't know, my grandfather that I knew, my father, of course, and myself, just for you to realize what for a short period we are talking about. What were actually the constitutional interventions and evolutions that took place? You have to realize that we are a child born in a house. And you have to realize that it will be, and I will mention that, 13 different intervention moments actually manipulating, reforming the same people of St. Martin. It's as if you have a child in a house and you change the rules of the house 13 times. Let's start with the change in rules that took place. From 1828 to 1845, we had the leeward colony of Curaçao, Aruba, and St. Martin, and the windward colony existing of St. Martin, Statia, and Saba. They were merged together with Suriname. This construction formed part of the Dutch West Indies possession. In Dutch, de Nederlandse West-Indische bezettingen. And then in 1845, again, a new restructuring took place. The administrative union with Suriname was all of a sudden dissolved, and the 6 islands were merged into one colony, the colony of Curaçao and its dependencies, what we call in Dutch, Kolonie Curaçao en diens onderhorigheden. These islands were all governed from Willemstad, Curaçao, but I can tell you, St. Martin was not amused with this change. And then we make a shift from 1845 to 1863, the abolition of slavery. Do not underestimate what that does with a people. And then from 1863, we move forward to 1945. Indonesia, that was part of the structure, declared itself independent. And 4 years later, in 1949, the Netherlands recognized it, and what was once the United Kingdom of the Netherlands all of a sudden became the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And then we move forward to 1948. During this roundtable conference between the Netherlands, Suriname, and 6 islands, again, a new constitutional status emerged. In 1949, a revision of the Dutch constitution called the Grondwetherziening marked the birth of country of the Netherlands Antilles. And then again, from 1948, being Netherlands Antilles, we moved to 1951. The island regulation era was implemented. What was that actually? That was each island obtained its own elected island council with commissioners and a lieutenant governor serving as the link to the central government in Curaçao and Willemstad. That was not enough. In 1954, the charter, the highest regulation within the kingdom, was drafted. An adjustment moment, again, for the people of St. Martin. Then we jumped to 1983. In 1983, the Roundtable Conference in Den Haag took place. The future constitutional status of the Netherlands Antilles was discussed. The main outcome was the decision to grant Aruba separate status. We went from 6 islands to 5 islands in 1983, and Aruba got the separate status called the status aparte. It was not enough. In 1994, the first referendum was held on the Windward Islands. The referendum produced a clear outcome that everybody expected or not, but we decided we want to stay in the constellation of the Netherlands Antilles. Again, restlessness. 2000 again, there was again a referendum in St. Martin, and all of a sudden now, the outcome is we want a own status. 10 years later, let's move on with the same people, making them more confused. We have again, in 10-10-10, the Netherlands Antilles was dissolved, and St. Martin obtained country status. And now it starts. It was not full country status in the true sense of the word. It was and remains a constituent state instead of a country. And this because a country by definition is a well-defined territory with full political independency. By that definition, St. Martin is not a country, and that is the constitutional reality we live in today. All the changes since 1845 have influenced the dynamics of the mutual relationship among the stakeholders in the kingdom, right up to the present day. Moving forward after 10-10-10, we also made some errors. And I want you to realize what I'm telling you. We became, for example, hypnotized by the idea of independence till 10-10-10. From the very day we achieved country status, we were carried away on an emotional journey, constantly trying to prove to motherland that we could stand on our own. We were so focused on proving ourselves that we forgot something very essential: to build constructive and sustainable alliances with other Caribbean islands outside of the kingdom. It is unfortunate that it took the Trump tariff war to make us realize that we needed other countries in the Caribbean outside the kingdom to survive. What are now the lessons learned after this constitutional journey that I just explained to you? The first lesson for me and my country: independence pursued in isolation will not work for St. Martin. We cannot build our future by standing alone as we have been doing in the past 15 years. The second lesson: we must strengthen cooperation with other Caribbean islands and organizations such as the OECS and the CARICOM. The third lesson: 10-10-10 was a political decision. Please realize that, which cannot be reversed. Yet, we are still trying to do so, not realizing that it's not working anymore. The term Netherlands Antilles is gone. Yet we have reintroduced the same concept under the name CAS. For me, CAS is wishful thinking, because actually it replaced the concept of the Netherlands Antilles. It is time for St. Martin to redefine its own relationship with the Netherlands, just as Aruba and Curaçao must define theirs. Fourth lesson: we must stop looking back only to Aruba and Curaçao when questions are posed by the Netherlands to the so-called CAS Islands. We continue to hold on this romantic belief only on a shared history. Instead, we must look to our closest other neighbors, for example, the French side: Anguilla, Ceiba, Statia, St. Kitts, Nevis, St. Barts, and Montserrat. Actually, those islands face the same challenges that we face here in St. Martin with, for example, healthcare, education, climate change, and border control. Fifth lesson: a balanced national budget with a significant capex is the only tool that can justify a sustainable country status. However, there is a contradiction between the budget that we have, which keeps us dependent on the Netherlands, and the illusion that we have a real country budget to propel St. Martin to a true country status. You cannot build a ministry or a nation without a flatter budget. Lesson 6: you cannot build a country without a professional treasury, not to say strong human resources. 7, we have, and that is sensitive, but I still have to mention it, we have an expensive, inflated constitutional structure for only 60,000 people creating an illusion that we are a country. We have a council of advice, a general audit chamber, an ombudsman, a social economic council, an integrity chamber, a constitutional court, council of law enforcement. We carry the burden of an expensive hydrocephalus, a waterhead, an oversized institutional head for a very small community. This makes it almost financially unaffordable for a small community. Prospects. Let's look at the future. Let's see what lies ahead. The key question is, will we remain autonomous in a constituent state, or will we one day pursue full country status? In my opinion, St. Martin has, for now, a much greater chance of survival as an autonomous constituent state than by chasing an illusion of a country status. But that can only happen if we redefine the kingdom in its entirety. I truly believe that is possible. To make this redefinition work, there are several conditions that must be met. First of all, there must come an end to the promotion of the caste construction within the kingdom. That chapter is closed. We must establish direct individual relationship between the individual overseas countries in the Caribbean and the Netherlands. Second prospect, we must put an end to the country consultation that everybody is so high about. We call that the Vierlanden overleg. The Netherlands Antilles no more exist. We have now our 4 different countries within the kingdom. It is time that our structures reflect our reality. Third prospect, the concept of a redefined kingdom must be based on differences and not on similarities. Our strength in this kingdom lies not in our uniformity and similarities, but in the diversity and the differences, in embracing what makes each of us unique. Fourth prospect, stakeholdership within the kingdom must be transformed into co-ownership. And fifth prospect, we must decolonize the lines of communication as individual countries towards the Netherlands. Today, between the government of St. Martin and the government of the Netherlands, there are at least 6 controlling and, to my idea, ineffective communication layers that weaken our dialogue and effectiveness. We have a governor, the minister of BZK, the state secretary that falls under the BZK, the Dutch CAS represented in Willemstad, the Dutch representation in Philipsburg, and finally also the minister plenipotentiary. If we truly wish to strengthen the kingdom, we must speak to each other directly as equal partners. For example, my dialogue partner as Prime Minister should be the Prime Minister of the Netherlands and not the State Secretary in the Netherlands. Sixth prospect, defense, healthcare, and education should be a shared responsibility within the kingdom. I have a few more, but let me skip a few. The 11th prospect, I will skip it too, because time is over. Only few achievements, but I see that the PowerPoint is moving and not moving with me. Let's go to the achievements. We did great things in this country, and I'm going to show you one picture, and you can see it. We did great things in 15 years. We have had an airport, a harbor, an infrastructure, and a causeway. The construction going on of the hospital, and the acute established containerized generators for GMA, to mention a few. I'm going to end with the following sentence. We have inherited a history that has not always been ours to choose, but the future is ours to claim. This journey of 170 years reminds us that St. Martin has always been small in size, but great in spirit. May God bless it, St. Martin, in great work of nation building. Thank you very much.